Hey guys, it is me, Sir Johnson II of Clan Iety. That is more or less my actual name. The video that I'm posting here was originally made for Snapchat, so it is composed of three 3-minute videos that follow the same coherent flow. I took these in one take, and it is currently 9:21 as I'm recording this one. That's really late for me because I work very early in the morning. Alright, the title of this video is Despite Making Up 13%, or Why Racists Are Idiots. This is a lesson for my melanated brothers and sisters out there. I know y'all have to deal with a lot of racists, even if you don't live in Kentucky like I do. The thing about racists is they're not very intelligent. It is very difficult to find a racist of even middling intelligence that actually believes what they're saying. The rest of them just do it out of spite or, that feeling of power they get or the benefits they get from it. Okay, so let's start. See, the thing about being unintelligent is you don't know how to do research, you don't know how to read statistics, you don't understand math. And one thing racists hate is math. They like to incorrectly cite statistics. That's their favorite thing to do. And their favorite statistic to cite, incorrectly I might add, is that blacks, right, although they make up 13% of the population, commit 50% of crimes. You see, not only are these numbers incorrect, but the labels are also incorrect, right? So blacks, they're not even 13% of the population. Blacks are more than 13% of the population. And this is arrest data. This isn't crime data. It's impossible to collect crime data because you don't know who's committing a crime as they're committing the crime. This is arrest data. And what you'll notice about arrests is that they are not convictions. Right? Of the 50% of black arrests, only 70% of those 50% are convicted. That means there's a 35% conviction rate for black Americans, despite making up 50% of the arrests. As you can see, that's over policing. If you're black, sorry, you're going to get arrested for crimes you did not commit. You're actually going to be convicted of crimes you didn't commit as well. Looking at this 60% exoneration rate for black Americans. I will continue this video because it's approaching 3 minutes. Okay, now we've already established that 50% of the arrests only result in a 35% conviction rate. That's over-policing. More evidence of over-policing? We have a 60% exoneration rate. If you don't know what an exoneration is, that's when the courts admit that they have falsely imprisoned you for a crime you did not commit. So are we understood? Okay. Of the 50% of arrests, black people are only convicted 35% of the time. Well, don't misconstrue that. I'd hate to misinform you like they love to do. We are arrested 50% of the time, right? We make up 50% of the arrests. But we only make up 35% of the convictions. That is 70% of that 50. I hope I'm not losing you guys. But we are also 60% of the exonerated. Of the prison population, 60% is 45,151. This is of the wrongly or falsely imprisoned, which is a 6% rate of falsely imprisoned people in comparison to the total amount of prisoners. That's actually very low. That's a low ball because our government kind of sucks. We have the highest incarceration. And when I say we, I mean America this time. The highest incarceration rate across the globe. And the reason behind that is prisons are slave labor. When you're in prison, they work you and they get to barely pay you. That's why they want more people in prison. Anyways, so yeah, 75,252 people are falsely imprisoned. Definitely a lot more than that, but we'll go with the, we'll assume the government only has a 6% margin of error, if anyone would believe that. Okay, we'll continue past that now. Okay, of that laughable 6% margin of error, remember how we have a 60% exoneration rate? Let's apply that to these falsely imprisoned people, right? Of those 75,252, 60% of that, right, would be 45,151, as I mentioned before. That would be the amount of black people falsely imprisoned if you believe this bogus 6% rate. That would be 3.6% of blacks falsely imprisoned. That would mean 31.4% of the prisoners are rightfully imprisoned, which, again, if you believe that, and if we turn that into a number, that would actually be 393,819 genuine criminals. Of course, of these 393,819, 90% of those are repeat offenders. Those are your career criminals. They commit crime, go to prison, get out, do it all over again. It's important to note that this 393,819 is 0.763% of the black population. You heard that correctly. Not even 1%, 0.763% of the black population. And these are repeat offenders. So they drive up the numbers for the convicted and for the arrest rate as well. So yeah, racists are really dumb and they don't understand numbers, which isn't surprising. You gotta be a genuine idiot to be racist. Maybe we'll get into their statistics next. I think some of you may be surprised. And they'll always scream per capita, but once you break it down into per capita, they're still very much overrepresented. But that's all for today. So if any racist tries to tell you that 13%, 50% BS, call them an idiot. I would say break it down to them, but we both know they're not going to understand basic math. Okay. Let's not get too hopeful. So yeah, you're an idiot if you're racist. Like the video if you learned anything. Comment if you have any questions. Do not support the UAE. Boycott the UAE. Boycott Israel. Free Palestine and free Sudan. You all have a good one.